So for my astrological predictions, I decided to write everything down. That way I can look at the chart and take my time and piece together information that I see within the aspects for each sign more accurately, because whenever I'm freestyling and looking at the chart while I'm recording, I get a bit distracted and sometimes I lose my train of thought, and I can focus and concentrate more better when I just take my time and I'm not recording while I'm looking at the chart, so I can write things down as I go. So all of the information is intuitive and is of knowledge that I've gained from lectures, from other astrologers, that I've committed to memory, from books, things that I've learned, and also using some things that come to me when I'm channeling, and just information that I may have karmically pulled in from a past life that you could say downloads information that comes down from on high, and just basically putting together what each sign represents, the house, the aspect, and how kind of the planets and the intention is playing out within a chart. So for now, until I get more seasoned and thoroughly trained in astrology, I feel more comfortable writing the notes down. That way I can just read off of what I have written, and it's more detailed and probably more helpful to anybody that watches this. But again, my channel is for practice purposes, really. So everything I do on my channel is just me testing the waters and practicing. And I delight in evolutionary astrology. That's like my main focus as far as astrology, but just general, tropic, Vedic. It's all different kinds of astrology, but my focus is evolutionary, and of course other occult philosophical practices I incorporate into, predictions and just what I pick up intuitively. So I want to do it this way. So this way I practice, because when I write stuff down, I retain it long term, the information, and the language gets more familiar to me, the skill, and just basically relaxing and listening to my intuition, and just coming into a flow and allowing myself to become a channel so that I can piece together a general theme or storyline that the horoscope or the predictive outcome of the energetic blend of the planets and using intuition, how that can come to me, and I can put together a general sense of a prediction. When I say prediction, it's basically just information to ponder about. Doesn't mean something's going to be written in stone. It's just the energy that is present. There's always free will, and we always have the sovereign ability to choose, make our own decisions, so to say. So first of all, the full moon, and this is for the month of August. The full moon I have here, August 8th, 2022 at 1:35. And hopefully it's PM because I didn't write down AM or PM. I just have 1:35 and it's on a Friday. So for the full moon, let me show you what I just written down. And I like writing these things down. Let me see if you can see without the glare. Even though it is daylight, for some reason I have better lighting using these backlights right here, spotlights, instead of the natural lighting, just because my table's here. Okay, I'm rambling, but you know, writing the symbols, the degrees, the numbers, the abbreviations, and just the symbolic signs for astrology can just help you gain such a stronger relationship with astrology if you want to learn. So here I have the full moon, and let me just give you a rundown of where the planets will be, the degree, the houses, whether they're in retrograde or not. And depending upon the degree, you can kind of get an understanding of what phase the planet's in. And then I have the aspects here. So for the full moon, of course, the sun is 19 degrees in Leo, and then the moon is 24 degrees in Aquarius. So this is just what I have because this is the day and the time that I put in, and it's happening on a Friday, which Friday is ruled by Venus. Yes. So hold on, Friday, is that Mars? I think Tuesday is Mars, and then yeah, Venus is Friday. Anyways, it's been a very hot summer, as always. Anyways, so Mercury is 12 degrees Virgo, Venus is 0 degrees Leo, but you could say it's on the cusp of Cancer and Leo because it's 0 degrees right there. And then we have Mars 25 degrees Taurus, and then Jupiter 8 degrees in retrograde in the sign of Aries, and then Saturn 22 degrees retrograde in Aquarius, Uranus is 18 degrees in Taurus, Neptune is 24 degrees retrograde in Pisces, and Pluto is 26 degrees retrograde in Capricorn. And then we have the North Node 17 degrees in Taurus, the South Node 17 degrees in Scorpio. Then we have Black Moon Lilith 13 degrees in Cancer. And Chiron I don't have on here. So the aspects, the Grand Cross we have, and it includes the planet Saturn, South Node, and the Sun. And Mars, Uranus, and the North Node are together in Taurus. They're basically all conjunct, and they're forming this big Grand Cross, which are 4 square energies, with the Sun being in Leo, the South Node being in Scorpio, and Saturn being conjunct the Moon in the sign of Aquarius. So it's a fixed Grand Cross at that. And let me turn this music down so it doesn't pick up on this video. So then we have a lot of T-squares because the Grand Cross consists of 4 planetary energies that are activating, you know, the fixed houses: Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. And because Mars Uranus is conjunct the North Node in Taurus, it's creating a lot of T-squares, you could just say. So there's so many T-squares, and the T-squares in the astrology here is just picking apart the Grand Cross, so you can get more further detail what the Grand Cross, you know, signifies within the T-square aspects. So if you want to dive deeper, you in your advance in astrology, you can, you know, pick the Grand Cross apart and check out the T-squares. But anyways, so all of the T-squares, which are all right here, and let me see if I can zoom in here. I'll have a picture of the chart pulled up, but I use this kind of older software, which actually gives Sabian symbol messages for the degrees, and it has all of the aspects, the dignities. It has the chain of disposition, the depositors, and the chain of detriment. So it has all that, and just recently I discovered it does give a meaning of the aspects, but I already forgot how to pull that up. I think you have to click on like one of the aspects or something, and it gives it like a description, but I make my own description. I don't, you know, just go off of what astrology software tells me, because I like to have integrity. But yeah, this is what I have to use for now, so it does help. So also, all the T-squares include Mars, Sun, and Moon are forming a T-square. Mars, Sun, and Saturn are forming a T-square. Uranus is forming a T-square with the Sun and the Moon. Uranus is also forming a T-square with Saturn and the Sun. And also Uranus is forming a T-square with the Sun and the South Node. And then we have the North Node forming a T-square with the Sun and Saturn, and the North Node forming a T-square with the Sun and the South Node. And then we have the Sun, the South Node, and Saturn forming a T-square. And then we have Uranus, South Node, and Saturn forming a T-square, and then the North Node, South Node, and Saturn forming a T-square. So there's many T-squares within the Grand Cross. So there's a lot of energy packed within this full moon that is catalyzing and bringing a lot of pressure, and it's fixed energy in order to kind of recreate. If you could just imagine fixed energy being this boulder, and you're doing this demolition where you're kind of compacting, you know, this boulder, and then you're creating something different out of this foundation, this rock, right? That is like you're sculpting a statue that's solid stone. So it's creating something very possibly beautiful, hopefully, out of this energy. And then we have the bisextiles, which include, there's 3 bisextiles going on within the full moon. So we have Black Moon Lilith and Mercury and the North Node creating a bisextile. And then we have, let's see, and then we have the South Node, Mercury and Black Moon Lilith creating a bisextile, and then we have Mars and Uranus and Neptune up at the top creating a bisextile. So I'll get into that within each sign, but that's the full moon. So the new moon is happening at 8:16 Saturday, August 27th, and of course 2022, the new moon. And the planets that are, or the lineup of the planets, what sign they're in, the degree, I'll just give a rundown quickly, and I'll put out some new moon horoscopes for each sign later as we grow or come closer to the 27th this month. So I'm trying to get as many horoscopes as I can up before the 11th for the full moon. We'll see how that goes. So the sun is at 4 degrees Virgo, the moon is at 8 degrees Virgo. And we have Mercury 1 degree Libra, Venus 19 degrees Leo, Mars 4 degrees Gemini, Jupiter 7 degrees retrograde Aries, Saturn 20 degrees retrograde Aquarius, Uranus 18 degrees retrograde Taurus, and then we have Neptune 24 degrees retrograde Pisces, and then we have Pluto 26 degrees retrograde Capricorn, the North Node 16 degrees Taurus, the South Node 16 degrees Scorpio, and Black Moon Lilith 15 degrees Cancer. And the aspects going on with the new moon aren't as many, but we do have this Grand Cross, or we have Grand Cross energy still going on, and that includes Venus, the South Node, Saturn, with the North Node, and of course Uranus. So those energies are prevalent within the Grand Cross. So you just want to look at where those are in your chart. And then we have, of course, the T-squares going on, which is the North Node, Venus, and Saturn forming a T-square, the North Node, Venus, and Uranus forming a T-square, Uranus, Venus, and Saturn forming a T-square, Uranus, Venus, and the South Node forming a T-square, Saturn, the South Node, and Venus forming a T-square, Saturn, the South Node, and Uranus forming a T-square, Saturn, the South Node, and North Node forming a T-square. So that is what I have for the lineup of where the planets are, the degree, the signs, whether they're in retrograde or not, and the aspects going on with the full moon and the new moon for August 2022. And now on to the general horoscopes for each sign combined with tarot, and I'm doing the tarot a little differently with my chosen